All right, now am I getting microphone? Microphone. Okay, let's see how this sounds. I think we are okay. I am testing out the microphone over here just to see how it's going. And see if we can find this at all. I have no idea how to even find it on YouTube. Maybe go to my channel. So, hey, everybody. What I'm going to be doing is working on some raw dog food tonight. I have a little apple girl down here. Hi, apples. And that's who we're cooking for. Hopefully my volume is okay. So I have been doing dogs for a while. We have a pretty good handle on how she is being fed, and we're keeping her weight right in around 90 pounds. The goal is to see if we can get her down to a little lower, like 88 maybe, so we can use the lower dog dosage. The goal for her is to maintain weight. We're going to summer, so we're cutting back a little bit on certain foods, but we will be exploring that here as we go through the talk. All right. You want to get your... So right now we're working on our I turned it off as it started to whistle. So right now I'm just going to get everything prepped and set up. We've got about, I put these on upside down. We've got about a pound of meat, a bunch of chicken legs, and some other stuff that we're going to be using for her foods. So back when we had the kennel, we ran a bunch of different types of cooked and prepped food. Need a spoon? You're good. So this is just an evolution of that in terms of the, let's turn this back. In terms of the types and styles of diet that we're trying to execute. We've been cooking for the dogs for years. We would feed them raw chicken and raw pig necks and all sorts of random stuff as a supplement and meal replacement and enhancement when we were racing and running. So this is not like brand new. What is new is kind of focusing on that as a primary diet. We always had kibble as the primary diet, and the raw and the other stuff was treats and extra and filler for calories. So it is a different approach. There's a lot of research that we did when we started out I really like the various different raw food calculators that are available online. There's a whole bunch of them. So just search around, find one that you like that works for you, and that should be good enough. What we are going to do is pull out some of the meats. I prep everything. Woo! I prep everything with these food containers. Different stuff goes into each portion, keep it separate and good. And then it gives me about 8 days of meals. So every week I get an extra day. And then if we do other types of supplements with the puzzle mats or freeze-dried food or some other type of something, if we go to a training class and she just gets treats that night, it's all part of that extension. So I can usually get about 9 or 10 days out of each meal prep that we do. So I'm going to just send a note to my sister because I forgot to tell her that I was going live. And we'll send that over to her. Okay. Where is my sister? There we go. Hey, sis, I'm live on YouTube right now for dog food stuff. I know you wanted to talk about that. The magic of technology. So, no, stop listening to me now. The magic of technology. So we do food prep. I get 8 to 10 days out of the mix, and that is good enough for me in terms of the effort and outcome. I've got it down now, but when we first started out, there was a lot of measuring and a lot of messing around. There was a lot of variation in terms of trying to figure out the right mixes of ingredients that we wanted to use. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days here. 6 days. And we'll do day 7 over here. And then day 8 right here. Look at that. Perfect. So I have a couple backup in the dishwasher just in case I run out. But that's 8 days. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got a variety of different stuff that we're using right now, but it primarily boils down to chicken feet and an organic ground meat. And that is the base of the meat products that go into there. She's going to get some beef this time. And then we also have liver, chicken liver. And then we'll make a vegetable mix. I got some applesauce and some other stuff that we'll throw into that as we go. So starting out, chicken legs. I'm not going to get into the meat stuffs yet because I got to do the veggies. But the chicken legs are the thing that go into the big container. A veggie slurry goes into the one of those containers. That's where we can also add any supplements or dietary adds that need to be done for that type of work, especially if your dog's on any type of medications or specific supplements to treat things. We don't have to worry about that really. So we just mix up a variety of vegetables. And it's different each week depending upon what's in the fridge or what got bruised or what ends of stuff. Certain things obviously you don't want to feed, like grapes and onions and things. So you want to keep away from stuff that's bad for dogs. But if you can find it in the stomach or a cow or a rabbit, then you're on the right track. Because if you think about it, what they're eating when they're out in the wild is prey animals, which are typically eating seeds and berries and grass and fruits and things. So we try to replicate that as best as possible with what we got. So I'm doing some celery and carrots, and I'll probably throw a little bit of frozen fruit in there just to round it out. I don't see any little apples or anything that have been left over. Apples for apple. But get some ends off, but that's no big deal. I got the apple sauce, which is where we're going to get our fruit from. So that's the fruit base. This is really it. So that's prepped and ready. So what else goes in there? So there's a thing that we use sometimes. And this is called Easy Complete. It's a product that is available from, and that's designed to be mixed with beef. So or ground meat, any ground meat you want to use. So, hey, what's happening, John? So what you do is you can take your ground meats and you just throw that supplement in, and that supplement has all of the nutrients and green muscles and liver and ground bone and all that stuff pre-mixed out. 1 scoop for a pound, and you go on. Well, it's actually grams, but we figured out how much we need for our stuff. So I know what size scoop to use and stick it in. So that's a really easy way, especially with small animals. You don't really have the ability to use a lot of animal parts. So she's big, so she can eat parts without any problem. Some parts she eats too quickly. So you gotta figure out what works for each of your dog or cat if you're feeding cat. But I'm going to put a little bit of this in. We do use bone and liver and vegetables and stuff, but some of the weird stuff that's in there, like the green mussels and other random crap, I don't know if that she'd ever eat if she was out in the wild. But for a full balanced mineral diet and all that jazz, we do that. We also still keep her on a little bit of kibble. About 1/8 of her diet is kibble. And occasionally we use a full meal kibble replacement, especially if we're traveling or if she gets a puzzle mat or some other type of enrichment, then she's going to get some of that meal. And again, that spreads out the raw feeding as well. But we keep her on a little bit of kibble, very high-end stuff, whatever you want to get. Just get really good kibble that's appropriate for your dog. And then you can taper them off, and we just never completely tapered her off. And again, that was a choice. It was something that we decided was important to us because of that dietary flexibility. It also gives us a quick bulk if we need to. So if she ends up with loose stools or something. So for example, she doesn't really tolerate raw egg. Anything more than a quail egg every so often is a little too much for her. She just goes instant runny with her poop. So that's no fun for anybody. So you got to figure out, kind of what your dog's going to respond to and work with that. So again, this gives us that option of being able to quickly go back to this method of feeding. The other thing that happens with this is that when you switch over to all raw diet, because there's no filler crap in there, which is what most of dog food is, you end up with a much less volume of poop. So cleaning up after her when she is going out in public and everything is so much easier than when she was on all kibble, because the bulk just isn't there. Previously, she was occasionally a 2-bagger, and now it's, you know, 1 bag, no problems. Rarely, once you get the types of food you can feed down, have we had any issues with, you know, solidity and stuff like that. All right. Ooh, wow, my Gorget is in. I have a new Gorget for fighting, which is our other streams for lightsaber and HEMA fighting. But tonight we're just talking about dogs and dog food. All right, so we got we got the option for the applesauce in there. I need to get a beverage. Excuse me. And once we get that, once I get my throat sorted out, much better. So once we get this applesauce poured in there, we'll put a little bit of the supplement in. And again, we're just looking for balance in terms of vitamins and such. Hey, I'm on right now, comma. Come if my volume is correct. Raw dog food. Okay. So this is a exciting thing because this order just came in. But again, that's for Tuesdays, Thursdays, and other days. So back to dogs. So we're going to throw this in the mixer here for a second. That should be plenty. And what we will end up doing here is using this as the slurry. Oh, finally. To fill in the other container. Let's mute while we blend. All right, now that got blended up. So here's our carrots and celery and applesauce starter. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead. I know how much to use based off of the same scoop size because I've measured it all out before. And there we go. All right. So with the mix in place, let's go ahead and get the rest of this out of there. I want to end up with roughly about 16 ounces because we got 8 days of containers, and 8 days of containers twice a day. All right. So we've got a base kibble, we've got a vegetable slurry with our supplements and doggy vitamins and minerals in it. And then we're going to get to our protein and bones. So the fun thing about dog feeding this way is that specific measurements are good in rough approximation, but you don't need to like be exact and specific on every meal for every day. You just need to get the thing right in total, because over time, if they're getting everything they need in the course of a week or so, or whatever the feeding cycle that you're working on is, then they're going to be fine. Like they're getting everything they need. So I've got 2 left. Do a little rinse here. And this should end me up with all right, there we go. So taking care of my base, I got my slurry in place for all of these. Time to get into the animal parts. The first one is our chicken feet. Look at those chicken feet. So she gets a chicken foots. I missed a bowl when I was working earlier. And then we'll do some ground beef patties. This is the boring part, or the easy part, or whichever part you want to go with. We've tried a variety of different bone supplements. I've used chicken wings, used sardines, used little baby birds, little baby mice, or not mice, like quail. That seemed to work pretty well, and like squab. So that's another bird. It's a bird. Those the smaller birds are pretty nice. Those work out pretty well for her. But the chicken wings and duck feet too. But duck feet are harder to come by than chicken feet. For her, chicken wings, she doesn't chew. She just kind of like swallows them whole. And then you end up with weird poop. So we stopped doing that with her. She was just inhaling them, and we need her to chew a little bit. She likes the chicken feet and the duck feet a lot. Duck feet you can usually find at Asian markets and grocery stores. You can usually get a lot of organ meat and stuff there. I've gotten kidney, spleen, brain, all sorts of different secreting organ stuff from the Chinese grocery stores. and markets. So if you want to explore that kind of stuff, that's cool. She doesn't respond well to like pork kidney, but pork liver and pork itself is okay. All right, so I got 3 left on my wings, or sorry, my chicken feet. Those come in packs of 5, how I buy them. They are heirloom, slow-grown chicken feet. They look really good. They're the best looking chicken feet I've found so far. And they come in a pack of 5 for like $2. So that's not too bad at all. And then we're doing organic grass-fed ground beef. And then I also have some pasture-raised, humane certified lamb for next week. And then we're also going to do some liver. So again, I do 8 days at a time, right? So 8 days, 2 meals, 16 total plates or containers. A pound of beef, 16 ounces. I just break it up into 16 meatballs and I'm on my way. So I cut into quarters. Each quarter goes into 4 meatballs. And again, I don't need to be perfect because she's getting all the same food. So if she gets a little bit bigger meatball one meal and a little bit smaller meatball a different meal, in total is what we're worrying about. So these just get broken up into 4 little meatballs. In terms of figuring out what works for your dog, and obviously energy and attitude is a big part of it. How their flatulence and their gut sounds, if they're grumbly or burping or stuff, and then the consistency and quality of their bowels is the other one, obviously. So that's kind of the key indicator. And you can usually tell within a couple of meals how your dog is doing. And with this type of prep, we're on for 1 week of any particular thing. So if there is a problem, we can always just shut it down and move to a different blend or go on to that kibble diet for a couple of days while we isolate what it is and figure out and kind of move forward. So it's not like a cut and dry thing. You're never going to just get it on the first try. There's all sorts of different types of proteins, parts, and organs that you can use, and your dog's going to respond differently to each and every one. The goal is to figure out what works for your dog and your comfort and prep level. So this is the combination that I've come up with for us to be able to manage ease and function for our dog. So this is chicken livers. These are organic chicken livers. For the summer, since she's going to be less active in the heat, what we're doing is we're cutting back on the amount of liver she gets as a calorie reduction. She's also getting fewer meatball. She's getting half a meatball and half the liver that she was getting previously. And we're going to supplement that with cold treats. So she's going to get, like frozen dog treats and frozen bones and frozen peanut butters and all that stuff in the summertime. So that's where she's going to get her other calories from. But they got to make it up from somewhere, right? It's just like people. You can't just give the dog whatever they want and, not take away something somewhere else. You're going to end up with unhappy and unhealthy dogs. So that's how we monitor weight. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait. Okay, that one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. Okay, had to double check the numbers. And we weigh her, when we were going through this, we were weighing her, if we could, like every couple of weeks, at a minimum every month. And that is convenient because our veterinarian is not too far away. So we just pop over there real quick, take her in for a weight, put it on her chart. We're on our way. All right. That is everything for the meals. I was a little prepped beforehand, but not too much. I started putting the gloves on when we turned the video on. It's taken me about 30 minutes to do the prep. And again, this is because I've got practice in with the measurements, with the pattern of meal prep. Everything's a routine at this point. And it took a while to get there, like probably a good 4 to 6 months before we had it figured out and knew what kind of stuff we wanted to use and what kind of stuff we wanted to not use, mostly because of impact on the doggy. So now, once we box all this stuff up, you got to take a few items down to the freezer. And there's one drawer in the fridge, which is like a crisper drawer thing. And that's the dog food drawer. It fits 6 of these containers. So that's 3 days worth of food that we can have in the fridge, as well as some snack and treat area. And that is everything else goes down in the freezer. And then every couple days, you bring up a new pile of 3 or 4 containers. You do that twice, and a week's gone by, and it's time to start again. So I'll show you the chicken feet we get. So these are the chicken feet. They're very pretty, excellently packaged. Slow grown La Belle Patrimoine heritage chicken, slow growing breed, outdoor access, hatched and raised in the USA. But they're giant. They're giant, and they're the prettiest ones in terms of like that I've seen. They just look healthy, those feet. Versus, like sometimes you can buy like a sack of 3 pounds or something in the store, and they're scrawny. They don't look like they had a good life. They don't look like good chicken specimens. These ones look like those chickens got out and ran around and got big and were allowed to grow and roam and be chickens. I've raised chickens in the past, so I had a flock of 34 at one point in time, and I knew what good roosters and good chickens look like. So again, just best quality we can find. I'm hoping this summer that we can get to the farmers markets and maybe source some pieces, parts, and stuff from them, and see what we can come up with from a local farm producer standpoint. So there we go. 3 days of meals, all set and ready. We'll see what we come up with at that point in time. If we find somebody we like, and my spouse is weird, she'll want to go like visit their farm and meet the animals before she agrees to consume them. So yes, we'll have to do that and see if we can find stuff that is from our backyard or nearby. Okay. Got a bag for the feets. And since there's 5 in the bag and I do 16, I always have a couple of extra. Until 2 months go by, like, every 8 days or so. So these will go down in the freezer for next week. And got the chicken livers as well. So here's next week's food prep. It'll go down when I take everything in. Next time, maybe we'll do some more detail into the diet balances and talk about the ratios of bone to meat to vegetable and all that jazz. And the other fun dried food, talk about that type of meal with all dried parts and pieces that we can do as well, and show you how that stuff works out. But I will be heading off for tonight. Hi, sis. Good to see you. You should be able to replay this from the beginning and talk a little bit about the different stuff that we do and how I do meal prep. And I would love to talk to you more directly about stuff that I think would be right for your dog. One of which is these little kind of organ parts. So these ones are spleen. And then these ones would be so cute. They're little whole chicken necks, freeze-dried little whole chicken necks. They're like the size of my finger. So there's definitely some ways that you can start to introduce that type of food in and see how he responds and if he's able to do it. They also have some like little birds. So those are cool, like little freeze-dried birds. And that would work as well for a smaller dog. But we'll talk about that in more depth. You all have a great evening. It was fun to do this, and hopefully the video is helpful for folks who are looking at what raw meal prep, when you have a pattern established, looks like. See you all later. Take care.